Former FBI Director James Comey slams President Trump in his first major interview since the president fired him 11 months ago. Comey's new memoir details his brief working relationship with the president, who suggested yesterday that Comey should be in jail.
In the interview that aired last night, Comey claimed Mr. Trump does not have the moral fitness to be president and said he might be susceptible to Russian blackmail. Paula Reid is at the White House. Paula, good morning.
Good morning. In this interview, the former FBI chief described the first time that he met the president and his staff, saying that they reminded him of mobsters that he used to track as a young prosecutor. And while he says that he does believe Mr. Trump is intelligent enough to be president, he does not believe that that is enough to make you fit to lead.
I think he's morally unfit to be president.
Former FBI Director James Comey took aim at President Trump, who fired him last May, unleashing a stream of attacks on the president's character.
A person who sees moral equivalence in Charlottesville, who talks about and treats women like they're pieces of meat, who lies constantly about matters big and small and insists the American people believe it, that person's not fit to be president of the United States on moral grounds.
Are you thinking President Trump's a liar?
Yes.
The president tried to get ahead of the interview, tweeting Sunday morning that Comey was slippery and a slime ball that he hardly even knew. In his most explosive charge, Comey said the president could have obstructed justice when he asked him to let go of the investigation into former National Security Advisor Mike Flynn.
He's asking me to drop a criminal investigation of his now former National Security Advisor.
The president says he didn't say that.
Yeah, well, what am I going to do? He did.
Was President Trump obstructing justice?
Possibly. I mean, it's certainly some evidence of obstruction of justice.
Comey said that his belief that Hillary Clinton would win the election played a role in how he handled the FBI investigation into her personal email servers.
As Hillary Clinton wrote in her book, I shivved her? I mean, that sounds like I was trying to knife somebody. I was out to get her. And it's an illustration of our polarization here, that you've got the Trump camp, which I guess thinks I was trying to save Hillary Clinton.
If you knew that letter would elect Donald Trump, you'd still send it?
I would.
In their first meeting, Comey briefed the president-elect on evidence showing Russian interference in the 2016 election.
President-elect Trump's first question was to confirm that it had no impact on the election. No one, to my recollection, asked, so what's coming next from the Russians? How might we stop it? What's the future look like? There was none of that.
The former FBI director said he could not rule out the possibility that Mr. Trump has been compromised by the Russians.
Yeah, it is stunning, and I wish I wasn't saying it, but it's the truth.
And Comey didn't just attack the president's leadership, he also attacked him personally, his appearance, his marriage, even his ties. And it's those kinds of very personal attacks that bolster the president's claim that there are many people in federal law enforcement who are out to get him. John?
Paula, Director Comey is sounding the alarm bell now about President Trump, but during the campaign there is an argument that he had a different standard for the two different candidates. How's he responding to that?
Certainly. Well, he's trying to argue that he believed that Secretary Clinton was the inevitable candidate, that she would be elected, and he wanted to protect the integrity of her presidency. And that's why he felt that he had to have that press conference and explain why no charges were being brought, something that's really unprecedented, and also why he sent that letter to Congress just days before the election saying there were new emails that had been discovered, even if he didn't know if they were significant. But at the time, having covered this so closely, I'd never remember him actually raising any red flags about now President Trump. And it did appear that he was very concerned about protecting the reputation and the integrity and appearance of the FBI in the context of the Clinton investigation, and not so much Clinton herself.
Speaking of the integrity of investigations, does this book get in the way of what Special Counsel Mueller is trying to do?
I don't think it has much impact on that investigation, because most of the claims that have come out, these are things that Mueller already knew or things that Comey foreshadowed in his congressional testimony.
All right, Paula, thanks.
Any bets on whether the president watched last night?
I don't think, no, I don't think so. I think his reaction is baked in. You know, it's one thing that's, we're talking about the investigation. There's a huge moral claim that James Comey is making here. And anybody who wants to defend the president, it seems to me, is able to say he is morally and ethically fit to serve, and he serves by the same standards I use. Right. That's a separate question of whether he tried to obstruct or didn't try to obstruct. There's this question of whether he meets the test for the moral leadership.
He actually said he had higher than average IQ, in his opinion. Yeah,
that's right.
It was interesting.